Andromeda is essentially creative targeting. And that is extremely hard to grasp because for the last decade, at least, we dictated targeting. No one else did. The media buyer, the strategist, the pressing the buttons inside of Google and Meta and etc. So Andromeda essentially takes AI and interprets what you're trying to portray in your ad as a value proposition or whatever it may be. And it says, thank you for this ad. I believe this person should see it.
A lot of people don't know what the Andromeda update is, by the way. I'm finding this I'm getting confused looks when I talk about it on discovery calls because I'm basically doing all the sales right now with Amy. She's starting to take over. But the point is like before we get into the stuff today, just like from your perception, what has happened? How has this changed? What has been the big change? All of that. And we call it Andromeda, but it's hard to find. Like if you Google it, it's kind of secretive, it seems like.
You know what's funny is it's weird. Meta did this extremely quietly. And I spoke, there's a VC firm I'm attached to that's actually it's outside of the VC firm that I'm with now. It was actually from an old client / partner that has joined a new VC firm. And long story short, we were talking to some of their teams because I'm brought in as a consultant. And when I enter into a situation, I try not to be like threatening. Like I do have a good name in the industry, and I'm like, hey, I'm just here to help. Right. And so a lot of times I'll hear from teams that are like an ivory tower agency when they're like, when I'm like, hey, do you guys know like if the account switched over to Andromeda? And they're like, hey, what's Andromeda? So I explain what Andromeda is. I'm like, well, John, they're like, right? They're like, John, is this even mentioned anywhere in Meta? I think Meta should have done sort of like, an announcement on it. And funny enough, like if we back in December 2nd, 2024, and I'm sharing screen, is it live? I'm on my laptop, sorry. So this is, I'm like, yeah, it's engineering at Meta, supercharging advanced post automation with the next level, personalized ads retrieval engine. I'm like, there's a lot of information about it out there. It is hard to find, but it is real. So a lot of people will look at me like, oh, here's, John trying to trick everybody and act all smart and everything. I'm like, it's live. It's just, it wasn't public. And I understand why, because what they're trying to do is force advertisers to be good educators and engagers again, rather than just running sale ads. So what Andromeda is essentially creative targeting. And that is extremely hard to grasp because for the last decade at least, we dictated targeting. No one else did. The media buyer, the strategist, the person like pressing the buttons inside of Google and Meta and etc. So Andromeda essentially takes AI and interprets what you're trying to portray in your ad as a value proposition or whatever it may be. And it says, thank you for this ad. I believe this person should see it. Now we get to give suggestions. We get to say, hey, we believe, this ad should go there. And Meta's like, that's a good idea. Thank you. I'll take that into consideration. And they will go and do whatever they believe is best. Yep. So the Andromeda update of the ad retrieval engine using AI to find its audiences, long story short, just means it's up to us to produce the best diversified content in order to achieve like the most perfect sales pitch and place that in front of Meta's AI so that it can go find the user for us. They have not published how, they have not published why, they have not published the best, standard operating procedures. They do not publish the details because they do not want us reverse engineering. I have a direct line to the Meta engineers that are working with Andromeda through a client of mine. And so I've been able to pick the brain of the people that are developing this at a very high degree. And I do that once a week. So what's funny is we can believe this or not, but I am trying to lead by example. And that's what we're doing today. Is we're talking about the creative category test that I'm running and what this is and how this is helping us achieve our target, both in platform, top line, new subscribers, etc. Because there are a lot of deniers, naysayers. Like I've always been the tinfoil hat guy, and I will forever be the tinfoil hat guy because most of the time I'm first. I am first to find, first to test, first to market, first to share. But it is more like a, yeah, but that seems hard new, and my meta rep didn't tell me that, and that's okay. If, we sort of have a, choose your own path model as us advertisers. There's no college for this. So I think what we're trying to educate the industry for free, you're welcome, is how we do this to the best of our ability and what models you can follow so that you can level up your game. And the people who choose to deny and, kind of ignore this will be left behind, period. And that started last month. So I think that's the biggest thing that we have to look at is creative is doing the targeting, and it's up to you to produce the creative. And technical media buying didn't get harder or easier. It is just drastically changed. And it has gotten easier in terms of structure, way harder in terms of optimization. And that's what we're trying to clarify for everyone now.
Well, there's an interesting article on The Verge that came out a few weeks ago. Well, actually, it was back in late May, I believe. And they did mention in not so many words the Andromeda update, but Zuckerberg's intent for this. Mm-hmm. And it's not just necessarily to make the job of the media buyer better. It's to get rid of the media buyer. So that was their interpretation of this. Now, we've been hearing this for years and years now. Finally, we're at a point where, they're getting closer to a certain degree. However, there is a human element in all of this that still is going to require us. But it's going to allow us, a lot of these changes are just going to allow the singular media buyer to be that much more effective. And from a time perspective, as an agency owner, I'm pretty excited about that. I told our director of ops, or our VP of ops, I ain't hiring any more media buyers.
Right.
We aren't really. Maybe in some specialties we will, but we can double our size and not add any headcount, literally, at this point in time. Maybe another growth strategist, maybe another CSO, that kind of thing. So the point is this is coming. And yes, we are giving away all this information here for free, but it's still foreign to everyone. I was in a huge PI law practice yesterday. They're like, Ralph, what's the biggest thing right now in digital marketing? I was like, Andromeda. They're like, what? They didn't even know. And they spend $50 million a year on digital. And this is their head of digital didn't even know. So it's coming, it's here, but it's working, which is great. And that's why we're doing the show here today.
Yeah. And as funny as there really isn't a lot that you will, I guess I would say is a lot of people that I know learn through feeds. And if no one is talking about this, people don't learn. I find that very odd. But it is the way that we just are training, even how we're running ads. But even in here, this is even AI's innovation and Meta's ad ranking driving advertiser platform performance. They even show how you give bulk. It sorts the giant library of your ads, how it actually is doing ad creative, personalized ad retrieval, locking users into ad set and showing them repetitive ads for ad candidates. They explain how all this works. It's out there, it's public, and it's been there since March. Yeah. This is not something that is haha, John made up a new word just to confuse people. No, it's in a bad sense. It's not my fault you didn't know.
We told you.
I know. Live on Friday, we're like, here's what to do. And they're like, no. It's
no, really? I want to do it the old way. I want to separate out my levels of traffic like the old e-com ad amplifier, level 1 through 5. No, it doesn't work that way anymore.
Right. And so I'm just going to kind of dive right in if you're doing this.
I'm good.
Yeah, and I hope that and I'm gonna stop sharing because I'm in an Airbnb Wi-Fi. So my apologies, everyone. But this is the data that you're coming to see is not my face, it's the screen.
Yeah, I might have to shut off too. For some reason, everything's very janky today on my side. Yeah. But anyway, we'll keep going. The show must go on.
Exactly, and I hope everyone really just wants to see the data. That's all they want. then the good advertisers will be interested in this, and the bad advertisers will, not see my face to hate. So I'm happy here. Right. So here's a test that we ran the last 7 days, and the top line results are the same ad spend. Went 70 grand week 1 and 70 grand week 2. I mean, it was 1.21% difference. There is no difference in ad spend. Mm-hmm. Now we dropped our NCAC by 25%. So our cost per purchase went from 282 down to 213.
Oh boy.
And and this right now is done purely with creative. And what we did, and this will be very, very simple for most users to understand, is obviously we're using the Andromeda model of one ad set, one campaign for our objective that we're trying to achieve in this target. And we typically, and this is for, since December, we have typically only ran UGC ads. That worked very, very well up to a point where we're kind of stuck at $250,000 a month spend. Yep. And we want to level up to at least, $500,000 spend. So we have UGCs. These are people's dogs. Obviously, we're talking about pet health and wellness and immunity and digestive and everything. So we basically tell the story of all of our dogs. And you can see there's just UGC. Yeah. I mean, they're just UGC everywhere.
Shot with an iPhone.
What's that?
Shot with an iPhone. Like, this is not high-end creative, but like it's working, obviously.
Right.
So, go ahead.
Again, it's like, I don't really care that I'm using an iPhone rather than a DSLR for the picture of a warrior here, So that's what's nice is exactly warrior is cool dog. But we're running UGC. And what we notice is something like this: spend, down 74%, spend up 777, then down 56%, then spend 38 up, then up 290. I mean, you're seeing bouncing around of UGC, and this makes sense with Andromeda. Why? Because this is all of the same ad type. The same ad type is simply going to cycle through variations of the creative, because if UGC can do the targeting, not all UGC will be able to all do the targeting for all users. That is not possible. It is trying to
find that again.
Yes. All ads being only UGC will not use all UGC ads to put in ad spend to do all of the targeting for all of the users.
And what UGC ain't going to work on everybody is what you're saying.
Yeah. And it cannot be the only thing that expands. So it will get you to a point. You can take a founder story and build a healthy $2,000 a day in good sales. Can you make it to 3,000? Maybe. Can you make it to 4,000? Maybe. It's your glass ceiling is set by you, the advertiser, based on how much creative diversification you're willing to place into the engine to find the users who are not resonating with UGC. Yep. And that is the ceiling that we have placed upon ourselves with content diversification. And that is right even in Meta's literature. So
sending the link to that article, because I think it's a great one. I haven't even actually seen that yet. Hopefully it'll send.
Oh, yep. I'll be able to send it over to you. And I have a few ones.
I got it.
Yep. Cool. Yep. And so what this tells us to do is we look at the 9, and I'm so sorry. I was trying to get it on my phone, but it just did not work as I'm on my stupid Wi-Fi. But I tried to get it as soon as I hopped on. But there are 9 different types of content diversifications. We've shared it a few times before. It's, us versus them, founder story, face to camera, UGC, then, there's 9 different categories. We've been using UGC for a year, and it's actually been working really well until we found out, hey, that's a great content type, but what about everything else? We're like, well, that's a really good point. So I'm working on a model that we will be sharing in the next coming weeks, which is what I believe to be the best model to move into, but I won't share it yet because it's not done. And I like to lead by example. Theories are a dime a dozen. Anybody can come up with an idea, but to prove it with scale and ad spend to $100,000 is where the people that walk the walk or talk the talk can also walk the walk. So I will share that once that's done and scaled, but we are doing it in this account, and you're starting to see the initial results of that. And what I'll share with you is the beginning of the model. Now, here's what I'm talking about. This is something called Sid Delivers More. This is actually a us versus them. This is one of those content diversifications that Meta is asking us secretly to produce because it's only in like closed circles. We exposed what those 10 categories were, remove the AI ad because that's just an optimization, but there's 9 main ones, and this is one of those.
Yeah.
This is our us versus them. Our one bottle will give you more active mushrooms, more white turmeric, more vitamin C, more milk thistle at a cost of $65, where our competitors are going to have, you're going to have to buy a turmeric bottle, a milk thistle, a vitamin C, an active mushroom, and individually it will cost you $195. So what this is trying to show is the us versus them. I wish I can get this bigger. I'm on my little laptop. Anyway, let's see if I can, well, hopefully that gives you a good understanding of what that is.
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it.
That'll be good enough. There we are. That looks a little better. So now you're looking at and say, okay, us versus them. And them is the industry. Don't buy from anybody else in the industry. We've already made it easy for you to understand why you should buy from us rather than anyone else in the industry. This is us versus everyone else. Yeah. We place that in the ad, and our normal cost per result in this campaign is $213. This is getting a $148. And we can even see as soon as we add it in, it's starting to scale 163% in its ad spend in the last 7 days. We added about 10 days ago. So this is going from $395 to $1,000 a week. The cost obviously was $79 because it was really good. But as you double and triple things, they start to go up. But it's leveling off at a level that is still like $65 cheaper than everything else in here. And it is increasing my cost required it's increasing our new customers by 40% this week. So we see that the us versus them immediately doesn't bounce around spend. It scales. Meta is giving the ad spend to this ad on its own. Why? Because it is a different piece of content in our diversification. We went from UGC, now we have UGC us versus them. Like, okay, so now we have us versus them. Now let's say, what if we did a product feature?
Which is fascinating, by the way. Just pausing right there just to see the fact that, we were all talking about how Meta has invested so heavily into AI, and obviously AI is the algorithm. It's the same thing. It's machine learning, or however you want to do it. The point is like they recognize that this is a different piece of creative that can be additive to other individuals who may have already interacted with one of your other UGC ads, and so it's allocating more spend towards it. And obviously, the results are what the results are here, which are pretty astounding. So.
Exactly. Now, 2 weeks before that, we added a different piece of content. It was a product feature ad. Yep. So now in our repertoire, we have UGC, we have us versus them, we have product feature. And I wanted to wait 2 weeks to share this because we've already established that UGC ads will bounce around and spend, which is a media buyer's nightmare when things are going up and down 50 and 100%.
You're playing whack-a-mole in the old model.
You're playing, yeah. And I hope it did well this week, everyone, is your optimization. Let's cross our fingers. That's what we're hoping for. And that is a bad way to scale.
Right.
So 2 weeks ago on July 4th, we added this ad that was a product feature ad. It is our immune defense that works vet strength formula. And we basically didn't take it us versus them. We just said us. So this is us and this is our product. And we have a slideshow of the active ingredients. We have all of the information about this product. This is our first test. What if we just feature one of our products? We added that 2 weeks ago, and look at the bouncing of ad spend. It has changed $18, $36.02 to $35.83. Now, this is not bouncing around between different us versus them. Why? Between different product highlights. Why? Because it's the only one that's there. So it has stable spend. Now, what's the result of this? Well, we went from 133 compared to 282. Now it's down to $100, and it is about a little bit less than half the cost of acquired first-time customer with stable spends and optimizing the CPA, actually optimizing the NCAC, because this is first click CAPI imports on NC, which is new customers.
Exactly.
And this ad here is now delivering us a fantastic result where we
look at the
look at
impression, look at the like 100,000 impressions versus some of the other ones. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, no, and that's good. And so we say, okay, excellent. I want immune new customers. So it says we have 45 sales, and 35 of them are new customers, and those 35 are immune new customers. Fantastic. It's exactly what I want you to do. I can still get the 11 returning customers. That will never stop. Meta will always attempt, try, push, and figure out how to go warm. First click happy imports will shift it back into the right direction, even against its will. We have bonked the AI over the head with a club, and we're dragging it to the area we want it to go. Mm-hmm. And what that is doing is providing us with a reduction of 30% in new customer cost per acquisition for the same exact cost that we have been spending the week before. And we are optimizing this for even a reduction of 23% week over week. Mm-hmm. So this is how introducing a high quality content diversification strategy into the Andromeda is allowing us to reach more users at a better cost per acquisition, because we've given it more ammunition in its repertoire to go find the users we want that we're not resonating with just a picture of a dog.
Right. Brilliant.